Hey everyone. I wanted to do just a quick video. I know I just want to ramble because I'm getting a lot of revelation and I just want to share the things that I'm finding, okay? If you've been following this channel, you know about this hidden doctrine in our Bibles, and it's all over the place, of us receiving our glorified light bodies, and in the last days there will be a quote-unquote unveiling, and the wicked will be clothed with death, will be clothed with shame, right? And it's interesting, one of the facets we could see this hidden in our Bibles is encoded in the first chapter, the first verse of the book of Zephaniah. Okay, I'll try to put up the slide in this video. All you have to do in verse 1 of the book of Zephaniah is look up the meaning of all the names, and you'll see the encoded message hidden within that book. And when we do that with the book of Zephaniah, one of the names in verse 1 means their blackness. Now, and that is a reference to the wicked being clothed with death, okay? Or clothed with shame, all right? If you're following this channel, this shouldn't be new. Now, one of the things I've been realizing, the next Lost Psalms of David that I'll be covering, I'm only halfway done with it. It's very long. But when I'm finally done with it, we'll cover it. Messiah, on the day when he is... maybe not a day, or on the time when he is forsaken, all of it, like Isaiah 22, when that sure nail in this firm place, Yahuwah will take that nail away so it can be redeemed and raised up. But we hear of in the Psalms something like the wicked saying, aha, right? We see it with our own eyes, aha. And these lost Psalms of David reveal what that really is about in a more clarifying way. I've suspected this, and now doing the Lost Psalms of David, it's confirmed that Messiah will be literally clothed with death, right? On all of his hedges will be gone, and there'll be blackness on his face. All the light of his countenance will be gone. Now the word is living, it lasts forever. It's past, present, and future. Everything's a type and shadow. There's nothing new under the sun. And the wicked are going to jump all over that. And, when the Messiah falls, he will rise. So, now, we see this doctrine in the book of Hosea, right? Lest I strip her naked as if the day she was born, put her in a dry land and slay her with thirst, right? Strip her naked as if the day we were born. We covered this today. We're seeing this in the fall of Satan. When Satan fell, he was stripped naked as the day he was born. All of his beautiful apparel, the light of his countenance, he fell, and he was a vile carcass, pretty much. Now, when I'm reading this Adomic literature, I've been reading more in the Book of Cave of Treasures, and I started exploring the first book of Adam and Eve. And the first book of Adam and Eve confirms more what we see in Hosea. Now, bear with me here, okay? The first book of Adam and Eve gets into a little more detail, and our skin, right? What we have in our sin nature, we have skin, but we're still in our sin nature. We experience aging, we experience death, we poop, we disease, we get tired. So we're in our sin nature because of the fall of Adam and Eve. But our beauty, we still have skin. This is a gift from God. That we still have good looks. We still have all this stuff. And this is a gift from God in his mercy. And the book of Adam and Eve, first book of Adam and Eve, talks about, how God spoke when Adam started complaining, weeping and moaning in his fallen state. God says, look how much I love you. I'm giving you this skin. I'm giving you this in my mercy because I would plague you with blackness. I would plague you with death as if I were to destroy you. And he talks about that. And the other Adomic literature covers this, but the first book of Adam and Eve talks about this plague of blackness, which Adam should have gotten. And that is a type and shadow of what's going to happen to the wicked, their blackness, okay, of being clothed with death, with being clothed with shame. As the Wisdom of Solomon says, there'll be a vile carcass forevermore, and their own iniquities will convince them to their face. And the reason, and we read about this in Hosea, the reason why God is going to do this, we read about in this Hosea, not because he wants to hit people over the head with a hammer, is because, hey, this is who you really are spiritually. This unveils the verse in Hosea saying, I'm going to, you did not know that I gave you your grain and your wine and all this kind of stuff. You didn't know that I gave you these good looks. You didn't know I gave you the sun and the rain, and, because God is good to the wicked and, to the just and the unjust. And so God's going to take all that away on who he deems fit to take that all away, just to show them this is who you really are. Now Satan's going to be bound in the bottom, it's to bring them to repentance before being bound in the bottomless pit. It's still an act of goodness and mercy. But it's amazing how we see this type and shadow when Satan first fell, right? Strip you naked as the day you were born, when Lucifer first fell from God, and he lost all of his beautiful apparel. And we also see this in Adam and Eve too. And Adam should have gotten this plague of blackness, but out of God's mercy, he received these skins that we have, our nature, who we are right now. So really amazing, and we could see this blackness in the first verse of of Zephaniah. Okay, all you have to do is look up the names in verse 1 of Zephaniah, and you'll see this. Okay, so that's something I thought was really amazing. This is all piecing together. Nothing new under the sun. What was yesterday will be today, etc. Ecclesiastes 1:9 and 3:15. Okay. Now something else, which is another rabbit hole, I've been seeing. I'm first reading this in the book of Cave of Treasures, and I'm like, all right, this is weird. How the Garden of Eden, paradise, was hovered above the earth, the fallen earth, for an appointed time. And after Adam and Eve fell, they were ordained to go into the Cave of Treasures. Now, the Garden of Eden was on a mountain that was hovered above the earth, and they were ordained to go into the Cave of Treasures, into outer darkness. Okay, and this is a type and shadow of the kingdom, which is to come down from heaven and earth, the mountain of the Lord. And those who don't make it in the kingdom are cast into outer darkness, where there'll be weeping and gnashing of teeth. It makes perfect sense that Adam and Eve were called to go into the Cave of Treasures because they sinned, they transgressed the commandment. So that's a type and shadow of being cast into outer darkness, where there'll be weeping and gnashing of teeth. There's numerous Adomic literature that confirms the Cave of Treasures. It's not just one book. So, and we could see it, like I just explained, prophetically in the shadow. It makes sense. So, if the Garden of Eden was hovered over the earth, I didn't really believe this as I was reading it, but I started believing it because I started seeing it in the first book of Adam and Eve. Now in Daniel 4, okay, Daniel 4 talks about the stump of a tree that raised all the way up to heaven, and I believe that is Devil's Tower. Google Devil's Tower. It looks like it's a huge mountain in, the Midwest somewhere, southern Midwest, and it looks like a tree stump. And according to and I think that's what that stump is in Daniel 4. That's Devil's Tower, and that's one massive tree, man. and now it makes sense because Daniel 4 talks about how that tree raised up to heaven. That probably went up to the Garden of Eden when it was stationed above the earth, and it was hewn down by the angels. And now we have that stump, which is called Devil's Tower. Google Devil's Tower, man. That was a real tree in the times of Adam and Eve. and all you have to do is look at it and be like, whoa. And reading this stuff, how the Garden of Eden was stationed above the earth, the mountain of the Garden of Eden was stationed above the earth. Things, I believe it now, because, putting these pieces together, it's amazing, So I just wanted to share that. If you're interested, do the work. Pretty cool. So I don't know. I just wanted to ramble and share that. Yeah, I don't know. That's it, guys. Pretty amazing. Stay in the Word, guys. There's so much. We have access to so much information, and it's really astounding. And line by line, precept by precept, here a little, there a little. And we are to know nothing as we ought to, as Paul wrote. And but wisdom is the principal thing. And we come into the kingdom as a child, and I just had this, not like you want to know it all so you could rule, oh, I know it all, but it's just like you just want to learn. You just want to know this stuff. What could be more exciting about learning the truth of our existence? And everything we've ever learned is a lie. And because when you have this knowledge, guys, you could stand against the enemy. You could stand against anything. You can't be moved, because the future is ours. And so I just want to inspire people to start reading these texts. Stay in it. I have the audiobooks all over my website. Okay, on my backpack, I bought an iPhone case that I rig, that's meant to hook onto a belt. I hook it onto the strap on my backpack. I cut one of the things off so there's an open space, and I just have my phone in there. It looks like a wallet attached to my shoulder, but it's really an iPhone case. And I walk around the city and I just listen to my audiobooks. When I walk around, I just listen to my audiobooks without headphones, and I just have it over by my ear. And, it's a great way to get familiar with these texts. If you're in a position where you're walking around a lot, or, take advantage of that free audiobook archive, guys. Download all the files. I just put them in my iTunes. I have playlists in my iTunes. Get familiar with these texts. It's so worth it. It is so worth it. And, a lot of people get scared, all right, is this text a lie? Well, you don't have to believe everything you hear or read. Just put it on the shelf in your mind. And as you keep exploring, you'll be able to see confirmations. Now, in these texts with the Adomic literature, Cave of Treasures, first book of Adam and Eve, there's specific details that don't exactly match up, as they get lost in time and in translation, but we could see the general doctrine, and we could, the truth will reveal itself and will be established by 2 or 3 witnesses. So, pretty cool, guys. All right. Thanks for tuning in. God bless you.